Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam view class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So we are discussing from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are discussing a beautiful section of Uddhava Gita. So in the last chapter, we heard how Krishna, he described the process of Karma Kand, and after understanding Karma Kand in full, now Uddhava, he begins to ask about the meaning of Jnana Kand in the 22nd chapter. So first, he asks about the conclusion of the various statements which are made by various sages. So Uddhava, he asks that, my dear Lord, I have heard from you that there are 28 material elements, 28 elements. Which are the 28 elements? The Supreme Lord, the Jiva, Mahatattva, false ego, the 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, then 5 tanmatras, and the 3 modes of material nature. So these are the 28 elements of nature. But then Uddhava is saying, but I have heard from you that there are 28 elements, but some of the authorities say there are 26, some say 25, some say there are 16, some say 7, 9, 6. What is all this? Some say even 17. So Uddhava is asking, what was in the minds of these great sages when they calculate in such different way? So Lord may ask, but why are you asking me? So why Uddhava is asking Lord? Because he says, because you know the intention, you know the minds of all the sages. That's why I am asking you. You can give the answer. So therefore, because Lord Krishna has now thoroughly explained in the previous chapter that Vedic knowledge is not meant for sense gratification. Vedic knowledge is meant to make one detached from material life and ultimately liberation from this material world. And this Jnana Kanda is very, very important to become detached from this Jnana of material world, analysis of the material world. It is very, very important to make one detached from the material world. So therefore, Uddhava is now asking this question. So now, when Uddhava he asks this question, Krishna, he clarifies the doubt. He says, actually, there is no contradiction. Yuktam chasanti sarvatra bhashante brahmana yatha maya madiyam udgrihya vatatam kim nudurghatam. He says, because all material elements are present everywhere, so therefore it is possible that different brahmanas, different sages, they calculate in different ways. And then he says, actually, mayam madiyam udgrihya. All these sages, they are under my mystic potency. That's why they are speaking in different ways. Actually, there is no quarrel among the sages. They are just speaking the truth in different ways. So then why there is dispute at all? Because they are bewildered by my Maya, Krishna is saying. So the authority of Krishna is the supreme. Krishna said that there are 28 material elements and that is the most bona fide way of counting. But because different sages, they use their intellectual power to analyze this world in different ways, so therefore they may get bewildered. The word used is Santi Sarvatra. Santi Sarvatra means all material elements are found within each other in gross and subtle form. We'll see in some time what it means. All the material elements, they are found in each other in gross and subtle material forms. So therefore there are innumerable ways to describe them. And what is the reason for different arguments? Krishna says this is only because of the Lord's illusory energy, because of my illusory energy. So when the philosophers argue that, oh, I don't choose to analyze this in this way, I choose to analyze in such different way, Krishna says this is simply because of my insurmountable Maya Shakti. That's why the sages, they analyze the material world in different ways. Because different philosophers, they are in different modes, mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, and based on their understanding they are attracted to different types of views. So Chakravarti Thakur quotes one verse from 6th canto of Bhagavatam where it is described that uh, Yamraj is telling to all the Yamdutas and he is offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. That Supreme Lord who is acting from within the hearts of all the living entities, and because of him only, different philosophers, they speculate in different ways and they propagate various types of philosophies. So Lord is not whimsically acting, he is just facilitating the desires of a living entity. Whatever desires a person has based on the mode which that person is in, the Lord facilitates the desires. And then Krishna says, but actually, who do not argue over all this? Those people who have fixed their mind on me, they do not argue. They transcend all these material arguments. And therefore now Lord elaborates the cause of difference between the various philosophers. He says, the subtle and gross elements, they enter into one another, and therefore the philosophers, they calculate as per their desire. So as you can see in this, as we know this, how the material elements evolve. From sound, initially in the beginning there is a sound. From sound comes the ether. From ether comes the touch. From touch comes the air. So if we take air, air has three elements: sound, ether and touch. So you can combine it into one, or you can separately tell about that. That's what it is for all the elements. Now the earth has all this tanmatras and all these elements. So therefore different philosophers, they calculate in different ways, and that's why there are different numbers. So then Lord says, actually, now he describes what is the logic behind counting 26. So Lord has told that there are 28 material elements, and now Lord is telling what is the logic behind counting 26 elements. So these people, these philosophers, they accept that Jiva and the Lord, they are two different identities, and they make this three modes of material nature into one, that is Prakriti. And based on that, it becomes 26. Some people say, no, it is not 26, it is 25, because Jiva is not different from Lord. qualitatively Lord is one with the Jiva, so therefore it is not 26. There is no need to count Jiva and the Lord separately, they are one. That is 25. Some people say actually, Prakriti cannot be separate from the, Prakriti is separate from the soul. Why Prakriti is separate from the soul? Others, they combine Prakriti with the soul. Because Prakriti, what is Prakriti? It is the equilibrium of the modes. And the modes belong to the Prakriti and not to the Jiva. So therefore, the soul, Jiva, is different from Prakriti. So that's how there are different ways of counting various elements. So now, Krishna describes the whole process of creation, how various material elements they evolve. And from 19th ones onwards, Krishna, he gives different ways of counting. He says some people say there are 25 material elements. Some people say there are 17. How is that? God, Supreme Lord, then Jiva, then 5 gross elements, then the senses, then life, air. It becomes 17. That's how he counts in various different ways. And there are 16, there are 13, 9, 11, 7, 6 and 4 also. So that is how Krishna describes the various types of counting processes of this material elements. After hearing all this, Uddhava, he has another question. He says, "O Krishna, soul and nature, they exist within each other, but they are constitutionally different. How is it possible? Please tell me what is the difference between the Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti Purusha Chobhav Yadapyatma Vilakshanau Anyonya Krishna Drishyate Na Bhidatayo." So although they are constitutionally different, but the soul enters the material nature, just like when a person impregnates. So the soul enters the womb. So that means soul is entering into the material nature. But soul and nature, they are constitutionally different. How is it that? Please explain me the difference between the Purusha and Prakriti. So that is the 15th question of Uddhava. And then Uddhava says, "O omniscient Lord, please destroy this great doubt of mine. Because you are the knower of all the scriptures, and with your words you can dispel the doubt. Because knowledge comes from you, and you can steal the knowledge away also." That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am the source of knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness also. So Uddhava is requesting Krishna, "Oh Krishna, please reveal this secret. Please remove this doubt from my heart. Because those who are bewildered by your Maya potency, they cannot understand this in truth. Materialistic people, they cannot understand how the soul is different from Prakriti, how Purusha is different from Prakriti. That's why people say, oh, everything ends with death. There is no existence of soul." So in response to this question, Krishna, he now explains the difference between the soul and matter. Krishna says, actually, there is an extreme difference between Prakriti and soul. How can somebody say that Prakriti and soul, they are one? Actually, they are completely two distinct entities. The change in material nature is because of the modes, and because these modes, they are working under the illusory potency. These modes, they create varieties of consciousness, and therefore all these different types of material transformations which are happening, they are happening because of the three aspects of material nature: adhibhautika, adhidaivika and adhyatmika. So all this is happening under the influence of modes. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that how Prakriti takes various forms, that is described. By the influence of the three modes of material nature, the Prakriti takes various forms. And then Krishna says, actually, Sight, form, and the reflection, they work together to reveal one another. He gives an example, just like if somebody wants to see, so the eyes have to be there, the sense object has to be there, and sunlight has to be there. All these three are dependent on each other. You know, the sense object, the form, and the reflection has to be there. But sun has an independent identity also. Similarly, the Lord is independent of all the living entities. Although whatever we are experiencing in this world, that is happening by the interaction between Adhyatma, Adhidaiva, and Adhibhuta. What is Adhibhuta? Adhibhuta means the gross matter, the gross sense organs. Adhyat means the subtle sense organs, and Adhidaiva means the sense devatas. If we want to see something, we should have a gross eye, then we should have a subtle eye, that means the power of seeing, and then the sense devata has to give the sanction. In fact, that is the case for all the sense organs. For the eyes, for the ears, for the nose, for the tongue, for the skin. But Krishna says actually Supreme Lord is separate from all these three aspects. He is not dependent on all these three. They are interdependent. If the eye is there, gross eye is there, but subtle eye is not there, you will not be able to see. If the gross and subtle eye is there, but the sense devata is not giving sanction, you will not be able to see. But Supreme Lord is not dependent on all these external aspects of material nature. So therefore, Prakriti, Krishna continues that Prakriti, when it is agitated by the three modes of material nature, becomes Mahatattva and becomes Ahankar. And therefore, because of this different types of looking at things, people, the philosophers, they quarrel among each other. Some philosophers, they quarrel, oh, this world is real. No, it is not real. Some people, the philosophers, they keep arguing over all these things. All this is because they have incomplete knowledge about Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimately, all such argument is useless for those who have turned their consciousness towards Supreme Lord. That's what Krishna is saying. After hearing this, Uddhava, he gets another doubt, another question. He says, if their minds are diverted from you, then they become bound by karma, and therefore they have to accept different bodies. So, oh Krishna, please explain me how materialistic people, they take birth, get different types of bodies, and die. So please tell me about the process of reincarnation, process of birth, and process of death. So that is the question of Uddhava. Now 16th question. He says, oh Govinda, this topic is very difficult to understand for foolish people, because foolish people, they are bewildered by your external potency, your Maya Shakti. And fools, they cannot understand all these things. So therefore, please, you only explain me what is this, how this reincarnation happens, how when somebody takes birth and how somebody dies. So this is the same philosophy. Now it will be coming. Krishna will describe the philosophy of soul, the reincarnation, and how the soul takes birth according to the different modes. The same thing which is described in Bhagavad Gita also. And in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna has said, he has said that whatever one person thinks at the time of death, he attains that form in the next life. Yam yam vapi smarana bhavam tyajyatyante kalevaram tam tamaivaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. So similarly, now Krishna is saying in the 37th verse, Krishna says, mind shapes various types of fruitive actions. Because of certain type of mindset, people, they perform various types of actions, and that decides their future body. When the soul leaves the body, actually, we have discussed this earlier also, that when Yamdutas, they come, they bind the subtle body because they cannot bind the soul, because soul is spiritual and Yamdutas, they are material. Their Yamapash is also material. So material thing cannot bind a spiritual object. So therefore, Yamdutas come and they bind the mind of a living entity. And because soul is very much attached to the mind, all our impressions, all our thoughts, all our memories, they are stored in the mind, our false ego. So therefore, the soul follows the mind. So mind meditates on certain objects which they are seeing in this world, just like if somebody sees a beautiful woman or a beautiful mansion or some nice thing to eat, starts thinking about it. Or if somebody hears something from the scripture, so if I'll go to heaven, I'll enjoy with apsaras there, mind keeps thinking about it. So based on the thought process the mind has, mind forms the future bodies. As it is said, we are dressed for and dressed by our desires. Whatever desires we had in the previous life, we have attained the body according to that. And whatever desires we have in this life, we'll get the body accordingly in the next life. So this is what happens. At death, what happens? Krishna says, at death, mind loses the perceptions of the objects, and therefore, loses the ability to distinguish between the past and the future, because mind is pulled away by the objects of its immediate attention. Seeing something in this world and get attracted, or hearing something about the heavenly planets, get attracted, and based on that gets a future body. At the time of death, what happens? Mind is taken out of this body, and a complete reorientation happens, complete transformation of the place. And therefore, apparently, this mind loses one's previous mentality, although actually it is not lost, it is just covered. The same mind is experiencing everything, all the memories there, but because of the different situation, we cannot access that. So when the jiva reincarnates to another body, the soul goes from one body to another body, then what happens? It becomes absorbed in the pleasures and the pains of that particular type of body, and cannot even remember what that soul was experiencing in the previous body. If somebody is in a body of a human, and then in the next life he gets a body of a dog, the dog gets attracted to another female dog, and he has no conception that in the previous life I was attracted to a human female. That's how mind completely gets a reorientation in the time of transmigration from one body to another body. And then he says, what is actually birth? Birth is nothing but a total identification with this present body. When we take birth, we start identifying ourselves with this human form, and the dog starts identifying with that form. That is called birth. And then this is actually, just as a person who dreams, he completely forgets about the previous dream. Last night what he was dreaming, if today I am sleeping and I am dreaming, I will not even remember in the dream, oh, I was dreaming like that in the last dream. It is not possible. This is actually happening when a person changes the body. It is like a dream. This dream is over, next dream is going on. In that dream you cannot remember what you were seeing in the previous dream. Actually both are the dream states only, because Actually, we are not this body because we have started identifying with this body. That's why we are thinking, oh, I am this body. So now in the 42nd verse, Krishna, he summarizes this topic of the reincarnation. He says, actually, mind creates the next body. Mind creates identification with the particular type of body. That is the cause of various types of bodies. And then he says, actually, Krishna says, time walks so swiftly, so imperceptibly, that we don't even realize how things are getting created and how things are getting destroyed. You know, as one devotee was saying that time is such a wonderful thing. Sabko samay chupchap budha bana deta hai. We don't even realize when the time has passed by. That's how time works, in a very imperceptible way. Nobody sees how time is working. And Krishna gives three examples, three analogies to tell how time is so very imperceptible. When a flame, a candle is burning, the flame of candle changes every moment. But the person, when he's seeing at the flame, he says, oh, this flame. But this flame has gone, another flame has come up. Another example is the waves of a river. The waves, as they say, the waves of river waits for nobody. The waves, if you are there in the water, next moment the water is gone. So therefore, the flames of a candle, waves of a river, and then third example he says the fruits of a tree. As we see the fruit, you know, first gradually takes birth, then grows, and then becomes completely ripened, and then starts, getting spoiled, and eventually rots and dies. That's how the time very imperceptibly uh, acts on the living entity's material body. The jiva's body is changing at every moment, but because of the time we don't even realize. When a man thinks, oh, this is a child, you know but uh, this child is not the same what he was few seconds back. The child has changed, the body has changed, the cells have changed. So that is the nature of time. So Krishna says a person neither takes birth nor dies, because soul is na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So Krishna is saying the same thing. The soul never takes birth, does not die. Only because of illusion, because we are identifying with this body, we are thinking I am dying. But the soul is eternal. Another example, another analogy he gives, Krishna says, just like fire in the firewood, sometimes appear, sometimes ceases to exist. But the fire is always there. Similarly, we do not die. The soul is eternal. Then he says the body passes through 9 stages: impregnation, then gestation, then takes birth, then infancy, childhood, then youth, then middle age, then old age, and then dies. These are the 9 stages of a body. And then how to understand this birth and death? Krishna says because the jiva, living entity who is ignorant about the self, he starts identifying with the body. And only a fortunate person can give up such misconception of life. He says actually, you can see in the world and you can come out of this misconception. You can, people, they see, oh, death of the father or grandfather. By seeing that, oh, grandfather is gone, death and father is gone, okay, I will also leave this body. And then they can see their son taking birth. That means the soul has come, taken a new body. That's how they have to understand that the soul takes a body and leaves a body. So why one has to get bewildered? And then another thing he says, actually one who is making the observation is different from the observation. And we give this example in our journey of self discovery. We were the same. We still remember when we were a child, then young person, teenager, now young, and then old will become. But we remember, we are observing all these transformations. That means we are different from this body. So this is what Krishna is saying. And then Krishna describes that actually people who are unintelligent, they are acting under the different modes, and based on the modes they are working in, they get a different type of body. That's what Bhagavatam also says. Yaya sammohito jivo trigunam trigunatmakam mano paropi manute anartham tatkripatam chabhipadyate. Because living entity is bewildered by the material nature, starts thinking, oh, this body is mine, and starts working in different modes of material nature. And based on that, they get a different type of body. When they are in the mode of goodness, they become devata or great sages. In the mode of passion, they take birth in the human form. In the mode of ignorance, they take birth in the lower species of life, or at ghosts or animal kingdom. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasah jaganya guna vrittistha adho gachanti tamasah. So that's what Krishna is saying here also. And then Krishna says, actually, what is the cause of bondage? The cause of bondage is, when we start imitating the actions of material nature. Just like a person who is imitating the dance of some other person, similarly, living entities, although they are not the doer, they want to become doer. That is the cause of bondage. As Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma karta aham iti manyate. So because we start identifying ourselves as the doer, that's why we are bound in this material world, and that's why we are suffering. And then he says, actually, soul's experience of sense gratification is false. And he gives 4 analogies. Just like if you are seeing the reflection of the tree in the water, when the water is moving, the reflection also appears to move. But that is false. Second example he gives, that when somebody is spinning around, then the whole earth also looks like spinning. But that is not the case. Third example is the world of fantasy or in a dream. So if somebody is engaging in sense gratification, the experience which he is getting is false. Because the soul's experience, soul cannot become happy by material happiness. Soul is spiritual, and only a spiritual thing can give happiness to a soul. But because now we have started identifying with the material body, we are thinking, oh, this is my body, these are my relatives. So that's why we are also thinking that I am enjoying or I am suffering. Then Krishna says, actually, one who is meditating on sense gratification, material life, although it has no factual existence, but if we meditate on the material life continues to exist. One is bound in this material world. So that is the understanding of the soul, how it becomes attached to the various things of the material world because of the bodily conception of life. And then Krishna says, actually, what is the solution to come out of this? Says those who do not try to enjoy sense gratification, because they can come out of this bodily conception, because sense gratification prevents one from realizing the self. He says, one who actually desires highest fulfillment and success in this body, in this material world, what he should do? He should keep himself safe. Always he should be on the spiritual platform, and he should be equipoised even in the midst of all the difficult situations. What are those situations? Shapito avamanito sadbhi pralabdho suyuto thava tadita sanriddho va vritya va parihapitah. Even though he is neglected or insulted or ridiculed or envied by bad men or even chastised or beaten or tied up, deprived of one's occupation, even if all these things are happening, even if somebody spits on him, or if somebody even urinates on him, that is even unimaginable. Krishna says one should be equipoised, one should rise to the spiritual platform and don't get disturbed by material dualities. That's how you will come out of this bodily conception. So when Uddhava he hears this, he asks, "Oh, best of the speakers, please explain to me, how is this possible? How should I actually do it? Because suddhu saham idam manya atmanya asat atikramam vidusham api vishwatman prakritirhi baliyasi rite tvaddharma niratan santam te sharanalayan." So Uddhava is saying, "Oh Krishna, you are telling me to tolerate the insult, but it is so very difficult to tolerate the insults. It is more difficult than to tolerate the physical pain. The offenses which are committed by the tongues of people, they are very very difficult to tolerate." And it is not that only it is difficult for foolish people, even learned people cannot tolerate the insults. Unless somebody becomes your unalloyed devotee, to develop such tolerance is so very difficult. What to do? Please explain me this. How can I understand your words? So now in the 23rd chapter, which is entitled as a song of Avanti Brahmana. So Shukdev Goswami is now speaking the first verse. He says, when Krishna he heard this, wonderful question from Uddhava, he actually acknowledges the words of Uddhava, and he begins to reply. He says, "O disciple of Brihaspati, whatever you have said is correct, because actually there is virtually no saintly personality in this world who is capable of tolerating the insult. Nobody can maintain the peace of the mind if he is insulted by uncivilized men." So actually what Krishna is saying, he uses the word Barhaspatya. Barhaspatya means, "O disciple of Brihaspati." So why he is telling Uddhava as disciple of Brihaspati? He says because spiritual path is not known even to your guru Brihaspati. I will tell you about the spiritual path. Apart from becoming my devotee, it is so very difficult to tolerate, because the sharp words, they cause much suffering than the physical insult. न तथा तप्यते विद्धा पुमांस बाणे तुमर्मगै यथा तुदंती मर्मस्था ही असताम पौरुषेशवः. Even if somebody is hit by the sharp arrows, they can tolerate, but a person who is hit by the sharp words, that is so very painful. So now Krishna says, because I suggested you that you should tolerate the insults, that's how you can transcend this bodily platform. Now Krishna is giving an example of a Brahmana who actually did it. So he's saying, "Kathayanti mahat punyam itihasam ihodhava tat aham varnayishyami nibodha susamahitah." Uddhava, Kathayanti mahat punyam, I am going to recite the most pious narration about a Brahmana of Avanti Desh. Please listen with great attention. So now Krishna he starts the discussion about the Avanti Brahmana. Very very interesting story of this Avanti Brahmana comes here. केनाचिद् भिक्षुना गीता परिभूतेन दुर्जनैः Smarata dhriti yuktena vipakam nij karmanam. So Krishna is saying, it is a story of a Brahmana who was staying in the Avanti Desh. This Brahmana, he was insulted by many impious men. Durjan. He was insulted by impious men, and this Brahmana, he remembered with determination. What did he remember? Vipakam nij karmanam. Whatever I am going through is because of my own past life karma. So the purport describes a quotation from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he says that actually one who has given up the path of materialistic path and devote themselves to the process of devotional service, one who devotes to the path of renunciation, when they are attacked by impious people, it is not because of the path which they are taking. Some people say, oh, because this person has become a renunciant, he has become a sadhu, that's why people have become envious and they are insulting. That is just a superficial explanation. Saraswati Thakur says actually, everything is happening because of the person's previous karma. And this person is just the instrument to give the karma. So therefore the devotees, they are always tolerant. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So that is the qualification of a devotee, because devotee, he knows that whatever is happening in my life, it is my own karma. What was the character of that Brahmana? So this Brahmana, he was, he was very, very rich person. He was doing all the merchant business. He was engaging in commerce, and he was very, very aristocratic. But he was kami, lubdha, and ati kopanaha. He was greedy, he was lusty, and he was very, very angry. So that is the qualification, that is the character of this Brahmana. Although he was very rich, aristocratic Brahmana, engaging in commercial activities, but he was miserly, he was lusty, greedy, and prone to become angry. And therefore, actually, he was not following even the religious practices. He was not engaging in even lawful sense gratification. He was not even respecting the family members. He was not respecting the guests. He was just interested in acquiring more and more money, to such an extent that he was not even taking care of his body. We can see in this scenario in many rich people. They are so very absorbed in making money that they even forget to take care of the body also. So therefore, this person, he was hard-hearted, he was miserly, and because of this nature, his sons, wife, in-laws, daughters, all the relatives, guests, they became completely disgusted with this Brahmana. And they would not give any affection. They would not give any love. They would never treat him with, good words, affection. Because this person was also not behaving with them properly. And because this person, this Brahmana, he was so very miserly, he was not following the rules and regulations of the scriptures, he was not doing the sacrifices, he was not doing the Panch Mahayagya. The deities of the sacrifices, they also were not very happy. They became angry at that Brahmana. What he did, this Brahmana, he just simply kept accumulating money just like a yaksha. The yaksha's job is to just look after the money. So this Brahmana, he did not allow anybody to spend the money, not even himself. So this person, he was deprived of religiosity, and he was deprived of sense gratification also. He was just interested in making more and more and more money. And therefore, he was even neglecting the devatas. By neglecting the devatas, he lost all his piety, and because of that, slowly all his endeavors started failing. One interesting thing Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes: by the negligence of the devatas, he lost all his piety, all his money, and all his endeavors were failed. But so his piety, it was like a withered branch. But he had performed some devotional service in the past life. Some piety was there which was directed towards the Supreme Lord. Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti was there with this Brahmana also. And that branch didn't wither. That is very interesting. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Salpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Even if you have done little bit of devotional service, it never goes in vain. So therefore, this Brahman, although he lost all his material piety, his money, his pious credits, everything was gone. But he did not lose his devotional credits, and that helped him to gain knowledge in the future. That seed ultimately fructified into knowledge. So whatever wealth this person had, either it was taken away by the relatives or by the thieves. Thieves, they stole the money, or by the providence. Providence means there was a fire sometime in the family, or some famine or occasional misfortune, or by the effects of time. What was the effect of time? He could not get sufficient agricultural produce. By all this, and then some money was taken away by the government authorities also in the form of taxation and other things. So in due course, this Brahmana, he lost everything. He became because he was irreligious. Now he was completely poverty stricken. He was ignored by the family, and he suffered unbearable anxiety. After losing all his wealth, all his pride, all his name, fame, everything was gone. He suffered great pain. In that painful situation, he started meditating. He meditated for a long, long time. And then, because of the Sukriti, Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti which was remaining, renunciation overcame him. Tasyavam dhyayato dirgham nashtaraya tapasvinah khidyato bashpakanthasya nirveda sumahan abhut. Sumahan abhut. Great renunciation arose in the heart of this Brahmana. All this was because he had some pious devotional credits in the past life. So again, Prabhupada writes, the purport describes this Brahmana, he was trained in the pious life earlier. He had served Krishna in the previous life. But because of his offensive behavior, that credit was covered, but it was not lost. That is a wonderful nature of devotional service. Even if somebody deviates from this path of Krishna consciousness for some time, Krishna brings him back. Navajanoja tu kathanchana brajen mukund sevyanyavadanga samsritim smaran mukundangri upaguhanam punaha vihatumichen narasagrahojana. So first canto describes that a person who has tasted the nectar of the lotus feet of Supreme Lord by rendering devotional service, even for a moment, even for a small amount of time. Smaran mukundangri upaguhanam punaha, when he is in difficult situation, again he remembers that. Vihatumichena narasagraho jana, and he does not want to give it up. Rasagraha means haunted by the ghost of rasa. That's what Chakravarti Thakur says. This person, a devotee, although he wants to give up, Krishna does not allow the devotee to go away. He brings that devotee back. दुर्दैव सेवक यदि जाय अन्य स्थाने, सही प्रभु धन्य चारे तारे चूले धरियाने। सही भक्त धन्य जना छाड़े प्रभु चरण, सही प्रभु धन्य जना छाड़े निज जन। दुर्दैव सेवक यदि जाय अन्य स्थाने, सही प्रभु धन्य तारे चूले धरियाने। Somehow by some misfortune, if a devotee goes away from the path of bhakti, Krishna brings him back, pulls him by his shikha, brings him back. That is the merciful nature of devotional service. That is the merciful nature of Krishna. So this Brahmana, he completely became renounced from all these mundane attachments. And then he started speaking words of realization. Sachahedam aho kashtam vrithatma me nukapitah nutapitah na dharmaya na kamaya yasya arthaya sa idrisha. So he's saying, oh, what a great misfortune. Aho kashtam, what a great misfortune. Vritha, I have uselessly tormented myself. I did not use the money for sense gratification or for devotional service. I just struggled uselessly to accumulate more and more money without even using it for sense gratification or for religious purpose. This is generally, the wealth of a miser. If a miser person has wealth, that wealth does not give miser happiness. He does not get the happiness. On the contrary, he torments himself with that money. Just to acquire more and more money, the person tortures himself. So this life is hellish for the miserly person, and next life is also hellish because he has not done any pious activity. So this life he has not done any sense gratification, and next life also is hellish. So therefore, a person who is a miserly person, he loses all his fame and he loses all his praiseworthy qualities. And just like the person who is so very beautiful, but if he gets a white spot of leprosy, all his beauty is lost. Similarly, the person who has wealth, but he is not using it in proper way, he's miser, all his good quality is destroyed by a small amount of greed. So greed is a very, very, difficult thing to give up in this world. And as it is said, greed means I want what you have, and compassion means I want to give what I have. So therefore, a person who is greedy, he just wants to acquire more and more wealth. He cannot be happy. And then Krishna says, and then this Avanti Brahmana, he says, actually, when a person is dealing with the wealth, in all the stages of dealing with the wealth, a person suffers. Arthasya sadhane siddhe utkarshe rakshane vyaye nashopabhoga ayasha strasas chinta brahmoninam. Sadhane, in earning wealth, arthasya siddhe, in attainment, even after attaining wealth, utkarshe, if you want to increase the wealth, rakshane, protect wealth, spend, even if even if you want to spend the wealth, nash, and if the money is lost, upabhog, even if you want to enjoy any of the thing you are doing with the money, four things will come: ayasha, trasa, chinta, and bhram. Great labor, anxiety, fear, and illusion. This is the property of wealth. So therefore, if money is not used in service of Krishna, it will bring all these sufferings. And therefore, this Brahmana, he says, actually, if somebody is greedy, the 15 undesirable qualities arise in him. Steyam, himsa, anrita, dambha, kama, krodha, smaya, mada, bheda, vairam, avishwasa, samspardha, vyasanani cha. The person who is greedy, he steals, commits violence, He becomes proud, speak lies, duplicitous, lust, anger, perplexity, pride, quarreling nature, faithlessness. All these qualities, they arise in a person who is greedy. These are the 15 undesirable qualities that arise in a greedy person. And therefore, Krishna says, this person says, Avanti Brahmana, among all these qualities, they are undesirable. But people who was who falsely wants to enjoy, they suffer. Those who want to enjoy sense gratification, steya means theft. You know, in Bhagavad Gita also the word comes yo bhungte stain eva saha. Stain means a person who is eating without offering. That person is a thief. So greedy person may commit theft also. You know. So therefore, although these qualities are undesirable, but people, because they are greedy, they want all these qualities. So this Avanti Brahmana says, actually, one who desires the ultimate benefit of life, he should not be greedy. He should not acquire and accumulate undesirable material wealth. Because what happens? Even the family members, they become enemy. Even the brothers, wives, parents, friends, everybody becomes enemy. And what they do, they actually break off the relationships also. He says, even over a single gold coin. And then what about relatives? Oh, relatives, they also fight over money. To such an extent, they can murder also for money. So therefore, this Avanti Brahmana, now he realizes the importance of human form of life. He says this human form, although this is desirable by Devatas, and we have heard this many times, Devatas also, they are hankering to take birth as a human because human form is so very conducive to practice Krishna consciousness. So this Avanti Brahmana says this human form, which is desirable even by the Devatas, with this form you can either go to heaven or you can attain liberation also. But if somebody is not using this facility, he is like killing his own self. Atma ha. Nivritta tarshayirupagiyamana bhavaushadashrotra manobhiramat kaha uttama shloka gunanuvada puman virajyeta vina pashugnat. Bhagavatam 10th canto, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, if somebody is not taking the shelter of Krishna Katha, this nectar of Hari Katha, which is the Aushadhi, which is the medicine for this material world, Bhavasagar, Bhavarog, if somebody is not utilizing this body to develop the love for Supreme Lord, he is like a animal killer or killer of the soul. So that is what Avanti Brahmana is saying. He says, actually, who can neglect the human form? Swargapavargayor dwaram prapya lokam mimam punam dravine ko anusajjeta martyo anarthasya dhamani. This human form is a gateway to heaven and liberation also. So who can give up this opportunity? Ko naam loke purushartha saravit pura kathanam bhagavat katha sudham apiya karnanjalibhir bhavapaham aho virajyeta vina naretaram. So it is described that who is that person who will not take to the chanting of the names of the Lord. Ko naam loke purushartha sarvit. If somebody is a knower of the essence, he cannot, give up the process of Krishna consciousness unless he is an animal. So therefore, Avanti Brahmana is also saying the same thing. That a human form is so very rarely obtained, so we should not give up this opportunity. But if somebody is greedy, what will happen? Again, he will fall down in the lower species of life. If somebody is just accumulating wealth and not using it for service of the Lord, he is just like a yaksha who just keeps on saving more and more money. Intelligent people, they utilize money for good health, for sense gratification, and for purification. That is how we have to use the money, to maintain the body properly, for purifying the body, and to become strong and use it in service of Krishna. But then he says, now I have become an old man. What I have achieved? I have not achieved anything. So therefore, intelligent people, they should not suffer in this way. Because he says, actually, for one who is in the grip of the death, wealth, sense gratification, and those people who provide sense gratification, they bring the death faster. So therefore, we should be very, very careful not to associate with those who are interested in sense gratification. That's what scriptures say. Don't associate with people who are associating with sense gratification, who are doing sense gratification. And then this person, this Avanti Brahmana, after gaining such wonderful intelligence, he develops such immense gratitude and he develops determination. Nunam me Bhagavan Tushta Sarvadeva Mayo Harihi Yena Nito Dashame Tam Nirvedaschatmana Plavaha. He says, certainly Supreme Lord is pleased with me. Nunam me Bhagavan Tushtaha. That Supreme Lord who is Sarva Deva Mayo, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in him resides all the Devatas, that personality is very pleased with me. Otherwise, how is it possible that I am developing such feelings of renunciation? It is not possible that Supreme Lord has brought me to this suffering position. Yena nito dasham. Ye dasha mein mujhe Bhagwan hi leke aaye hain, He has brought me in this suffering condition, and now he has forced me to come out of this material existence. So this is very, very interesting, because Lord never forgets whatever small thing we do for him. We may forget so many things, but Lord never forgets. We may even forget serving Krishna. We may have served some time, but Krishna notices that. And that's how he has brought us in this process of Krishna consciousness. That's what this Avanti Brahmana is also saying. So then he says, whatever life I have now, what I'll do? I will do austerities. I will make my life successful. I will utilize it for self-interest. I will attain self-realization. And then he says, may the Devatas be satisfied with me. Please, I am praying they bestow mercy on me. If somebody says, but you have only few, he says, now he is thinking, oh, I am an old man. I may have very less time left in this body. So he is praying. Just like Khatwang Maharaj, he attained perfection in 2 moments, 2 muhurta. I will also attain perfection like that. That is a great determination of this Avanti Brahmana. So then, now Krishna, Lord, he is continuing that how this Avanti Brahmana, he exhibited such unparalleled renunciation. So this Brahmana, he cut all his knots of family attachment from his heart, and he assumed a very peaceful situation. He started wandering as a mendicant, unknown, not recognized by common people. Complete self-control, controlling his mind, intelligence, senses. He wandered. He went to places only to beg. He did not want to be recognized as a great sannyasi. So therefore he did not talk much. He maintained the vow of silence. Even if some rowdy people, they dishonored him, oh, he's a beggar, he's a dirty person, he's old. This Avanti Brahmana, he's tolerated all the insults. Sometimes people, they would take his sannyas rod. Some people, they would take his water pot. Some people would tear apart his clothes. Some people would take his deer skin or beads, and after taking it, they will display, oh, look at this, and They make a show that, oh, I'm about to give you this, but then they would pretend to offer it back, and then they would take it back. That's how they were making fun of this Brahmana. But this Brahmana, he was just simply tolerating. When he would sit to eat, people who are sinful rascals, they would come, they would spit on his head, or they would even pass urine on that on that food. He would just tolerate. Some people, they would try to disrupt his vow of silence. Others would chastise him. Others would say, oh, this man is a thief. And others would shout, oh, tie him up, tie him up. Some people, they would criticize him and insult him. Oh, this person, he's making a show of renunciation. Oh, this person, he left his family. He has become a beggar. He's bereft of his money. Now he's thrown away by his family, and now he's making a show of renunciation. People would ridicule him like that. Some people would pass foul air on him. This Brahmana, he very humbly, silently tolerated all the insults. He understood. Now, this is very interesting. What he understood, he said that. So Krishna is saying, this person, he understood that whatever is happening to me, this is allotted by providence, and it is unavoidable. This is my own karma which is coming to me. So even though he was insulted in such a way, he remained completely steady in his vow of silence, completely focused on serving Supreme Lord. He was in the mode of goodness, and he started chanting the following song. That's what Krishna is saying. So basically, his resolution to practice Krishna consciousness, spiritual life, was in the mode of goodness. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. What is the resolution in the mode of goodness? What is determination in the mode of goodness? Dhritya yaya dharayate manah pranendriya kriyaah yogena vyabhicharinya dhriti sa partha satviki. That resolution which cannot be deterred under any circumstance. That is what is required to practice Krishna consciousness. Whatever may happen, I will make my life perfect. I will give my full to come close to Krishna. Because to cross this stage of anarth nivritti and reach the stage of nishtha is in our hand. Of course, Krishna's mercy is there, but we can actually do it with our own endeavors. The more we are strong, determined, and dedicated to this practice of Krishna consciousness, the more Krishna will reciprocate. So, even when it comes to chanting, we can actually reach the stage of nama bhas by our own practice. Of course, Shuddha Nam is awarded. We cannot get Shuddha Nam by our endeavor. Shuddha Nam is awarded. But we can actually reach the stage of nama bhas. That requires steady determination. Whatever may happen, I will not give up. So this Brahmana, he was very determined in the mode of goodness. And then he started singing a song. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha heto na devatatma graha karma kalah manah param karanamamananti samsara chakram parivartayedyah. He says, these people who are giving me such trouble, they are not the cause of my happiness and distress. Then who is the cause? Na devatatma. The demigods are not also the cause. Not my body, nor planets, nor my past work, nor my time. Manaha param karanam mananti. Now this is very important to understand. He says, mind alone is the cause of happiness and distress. Not devatas, not my body, not my past activities, not even planets, nobody. Only mind is a cause of happiness and distress. Because of that I am suffering in this material world. So this is very, very interesting, So Chakravarti Thakur writes, somebody may ask, oh, who has given me misery? So this person is saying, who has given me such misery? It is not caused by evil people. So somebody, when he hears this, he says, oh, why are you denying the visible cause? We can see that they are actually giving you trouble. Is it because that these evil people, they are not acting independently, they are acting under some other supervision? So maybe that person is a cause, right? And if you are saying this person is not the cause, then you should deny that person also who is making this person work. He says no, he is also not the cause, devatas are also not the cause, planets are also not the cause. Only cause is my mind, because mind creates various statuses of life. Whatever conditioning, whatever desires a person has, according to that he develops a particular type of body. So basically this Brahmana is saying that mind is a cause of material existence, which is a cause of suffering. This is baliyasa. Krishna, this Avanti Brahmana uses the word baliyasa. Baliyasa means mind is very, very powerful. And because of that, the jiva wanders in all the various species of life. When mind is attached to some objects, like opposite gender, or some gold, or some other things to enjoy, becomes attached, does not even see that this person or this object will create some bad qualities in me. Mind completely covers any bad thing. That is the role of mind, neglects the reality. So a person who is attracted to sense gratification, he does not even mind acquiring money by bad means, because he justifies, oh, ultimately the purpose of life is to live properly. If I'll not steal money, how I will live properly? So therefore, this is how the mind is working. If a mind is situated in sattva guna, then it leads to dharma. If a mind is situated in tamogun, it leads to hell. If mind is situated in rajogun, then it leads to taking birth in the human form, or even the planets of the some other species which are like humans. So ultimately mind is a cause of suffering. Then the Savanti Brahman says, what is the process to control the mind? He says there is only one way to control the mind. Focus on the Supreme Lord. Focus the mind, concentrate the mind on the Supreme Lord. Danam swadharmo niyamo yamasya shrutam cha karmani chasadvratani sarve manu nigraha lakshanantah paro hi yogo manasas samadhi. There are so many ways to control the mind, but the ultimate way to control the mind is to focus on the Supreme Lord. What is the importance of controlling mind? Why I should control the mind? If your mind is controlled, then what is the use of doing all the pious rituals? If your mind is not controlled, then what is the use of doing all the pious rituals? It is like the similar thing we have heard, aradhito yadi hari tapasa tatah kim, naradhito yadi tapasa tatah kim. So if your mind is controlled, so therefore, then you don't need to do all these rituals. That is the importance of controlling the mind, because mind is very, very strongest. Mind can control the senses, and very interesting word is used here, God-like power of the mind. Insurmountable power mind has. If the mind is bewildered, if the mind is uncontrolled, person ultimately becomes bewildered and engages in sense gratification. If sense gratification is frustrated, quarrels, and does not even think, oh, this person is friend or enemy. So that is the condition of a person who has uncontrolled mind. He starts identifying with the body. He starts thinking in terms of me and mine. Intelligence gets bewildered and ultimately glides down to the lower modes of lower regions of material nature. And then actually, Avanti Brahmana, he explained why he is saying that nobody is the cause of my suffering. All these people, they are not the cause of suffering. The devatas are not the cause of suffering. The planets, my own self, the fruitive activities, nobody is the cause of suffering. So in 6 verses, from 50 to 56, this Avanti Brahman, he explains why you should not blame any of these things, because ultimately the main thing is the mind creates a misidentification. Because of that misidentification, we are there in this material world, and based on that we perform so many different types of activities. So why to blame devatas? Why to blame the material nature? Why to blame other people? Why to blame fruitive activities? Because it is all happening because I am attached. I have the misconception that I am the enjoyer. So therefore nobody should be blamed. And then ultimately this Avanti Brahmana makes a firm determination. This is a very famous verse. Etam sasthaya paratmanishta adhyasitam purvatamair maharshibhi aham tarishyami duranta param tamo mukundangri nishevayeva. He says, this path which is approved by previous acharyas, paratmanishta, what is that path? The path of pure devotion unto the Supreme Lord. The great acharyas, they have traversed this path and they have attained success. Aham tarishyami, I will also follow the same path. I will also cross over this insurmountable ocean of nescience. That is my determination. So therefore Chakravarti Thakur writes that pure bhakti, which was previously existing in the mind of this Avanti Brahmana, but it was stopped by some obstacles. Now it has again become uncovered and appeared in the mind. And that's how he is making a firm determination, firm resolution that I will practice devotional service. I will make my life perfect. So this verse is a very famous verse, very important verse. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he took sannyas, he chanted this mantra. So this is a sannyas mantra. A sannyasi, he becomes completely dependent on the Supreme Lord, and he has firm faith that I will cross this ocean of material existence. So now after this, Krishna, he concludes the discussion by saying that this Brahman, he became completely detached from home, took sannyas, traveled all over the earth, unrecognized by anybody, very fixed in his principles, in his duties, and he had no other thing, no mental confusion. He was just focused on serving Krishna. And therefore, he says, what is the essence of this pastime? Tasmat sarvatmana tata nigrihana manodhiya mayyaveshitaya yukta etavan yoga sangraha. He says, oh my dear Uddhava, fixing your intelligence on me, completely bring the mind under control and serve me. This is the essence of this whole pastime. So the essence is, by the process of devotional service, bring the mind under control and focus on the Supreme Lord's devotional service. What is the falashruti? Falastuti of this pastime? It is described anybody who listens and meditates this song of Avanti Brahmana will never be bewildered, never be overwhelmed by material dualities, and he will never be lost in the cycle of birth and death. He will transcend this material dualities. So this is the end of the 23rd chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So anybody has any questions? You can please ask.
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु।
Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
हरे कृष्णा। हाँ प्रभु जी, वो तो पूरा भगवान तो अवंत ब्राह्मण का स्टोरी बता विश करना है, कैसा क्या करना है, लेकिन वो तो मुझे लगता है ऋषभ देव और जो बड़ा बड़ा व्याख्यान पहले से हुआ है उसमें वो ऐसा टाइप का डिस्कशन भी हुआ है ना प्रभु जी?
Yes, yes, yes. Same type of same thing. Now Krishna is again speaking to Uddhava,
हाँ
because now the Uddhava Gita is going on, the discussion with Uddhava. So Krishna
हाँ,
is
यस,
telling about another story of a similar type of personality who manifested the
जी जी
principles
प्रभु
of
जी,
renunciation. Okay.
रिनाउंसिएशन, करेक्ट करेक्ट प्रभु जी, ओके ओके। लेकिन
Hare
Okay.
Krishna
So,
Prabhu.
hi, yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna
हमारे
Prabhu.
जैसा
Hi, yes, Mataji.
I just wanted to know from which verse to which verse is the Avantika Brahma's song?
Just a minute. So from 42nd to
एंटायर चैप्टर
57th
तो नहीं
verse.
बना सकते।
From 42 to 57.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
That is the song of Avanti
Thank
Brahman.
you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Haribol. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.